Joining us now are Frank Offman and Sylvia Stannard, representatives of the Church of Scientology, and Steve Hassan, author of Combating Cult Mind Control and a former member of the Unification Church. And by telephone, New York Magazine investigative reporter Russ Baker, who's done a lot of reporting about the church. What did you two make of what Robert Minton had to say and his motives for wanting to spend his own hard-earned money to combat some of the criticism of the church?
Well, Robert Minton, I've talked to. I was in Florida. He came down to picket in front of our church in Florida, and we had a long discussion. He actually has admitted that he will be getting money back from a lawsuit that he's put $100,000 into. He'll be getting back some money, or he intends to if the lawsuit is won. I think it's purely, he's probably got other motives as well, but I think he definitely intends to make money on it.
But a lot of the other people have no money. Certainly Dennis Erlich doesn't have 2 cents, so he's not going to get money back from investing in these kinds of cases. Even if the McPherson case is settled for a fairly large sum, he may only get back what he put in.
Or possibly a lot more. Who knows? That's the question that there is. Certainly, and that's interesting, Erlich he's only given $5,000 to. He gave $100,000 to the McPherson case and has promised $250,000 more. And in return, when and if there's a settlement or any kind of win in that case, he intends to make money on the case. But I think what people don't know and they need to know about that case is it just got filed. This is what our objection to what Bob Minton is doing is he's bringing this to the media. He's coming and picketing in front of our church in Florida. It should be settled in court. It should be brought, the evidence will be brought out. It's just been filed. There are no criminal indictments. There's an investigation going on, yes.
Well, there have been recommendations, apparently.
No, that's what he said.
No, that's what the sheriff's office said today.
Oh, well, that's new
on
news.
the wires. Yes.
Okay, that's new news to me then.
No, it did come out today.
Okay, because what has been going on is there's investigation going on into the case.
And as of today, they've recommended, but they haven't said who. Formal charges will be filed. They haven't said against who.
Okay.
But what is wrong, if I may ask you to, with some of the things that, for instance, Dennis Erlich has done? What's wrong with putting out information, even if it is internal documents? So what? What's wrong? I'd like to know what they are. Why can't I read them?
Well, with Dennis Erlich, it was copyrighted materials that he illegally
posted.
What?
I mean, why can't I read that?
He put hundreds and hundreds of postings about the church onto the internet for years. He talked about.
But why does that bother you?
It doesn't, and nothing was done. Nothing was done about that. When he illegally took stolen materials and posted hundreds of pages of our copyrighted materials, just like if you take a magazine and say, don't read People magazine anymore because I'm going to put it on the internet and you don't need to go to the newsstand or anything.
All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a quick look at what else would happen at that day at Dennis Erlich's house almost 2 years ago, and then I'm going to bring Steve and Russ Baker into the discussion. Here's a little clip of what happened in February of 1995.
They locked me in the basement of a hotel and under guard for 10 days, and I wasn't allowed to communicate. I wasn't allowed to use a phone. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody until I recanted my terrible sins and confessed that I was insane or whatever. So I knew that these things were going on, and for that reason, I spoke out against some of these things, and for that reason, they have policy that requires them to attack me, to discredit me, to harass me legally.
After leaving the church in 1992, Erlich went on his own disinformation campaign, leaking sensitive church documents out over the internet. The church obtained a writ of seizure, and in February 1995, came to his house to delete his files.
7:30 this morning, they were pounding on my door. I called 911, and the Glendale police said, "Open the door. They got a warrant." They got a warrant, but they didn't have a warrant. They had a writ of seizure. They've been here like 5 hours or 6 hours sitting in front of my computer, copying files and deleting files and taking discs and all that stuff.
The Glendale police were there too, but their job was to make sure everything went smoothly.
But officer, they're invading my privacy.
Well,
I'm not a criminal. This is a civil suit.
Okay, I understand that.
I have a right to document what they're taking out of my house. Don't you understand that? It doesn't say.
It appears that they are doing everything within the
doesn't say they have a right to delete my files, does it?
I don't know whether they deleted your files.
They did delete my. Did you delete my files?
We took the files.
You deleted them from my computer
and
deleted them from my computer.
Stuff out of here
Officer, please don't let them take the stuff.
Erlich said the church was out to silence its critics, to intimidate and ruin people.
They've taken all of the material that proves that is their policy. It is their policy when you find a critic like me to ruin them financially by filing suit against them and harassing them and using their fair game policy.
Russ Baker from New York Magazine. You've been following that Erlich case. What is your understanding of the motivation behind that raid was?
Well, first of all, I think the New York Magazine that's not an appropriate designation for me. I'm a freelance journalist. But
okay.
Let me say that in that particular case, as in many of these cases, as the Scientology representative pointed out, they assert that copyrighted materials of theirs should not be used without their permission. What this gets to, really the heart of the whole question is it normal policy for a religion to copyright its materials? It's certainly unusual. I can't particularly think of, I don't think the Catholic Church, Judaism, Islam, and so on, assert copyrights on material. And as she pointed out, the reason they do that is because it's a very valuable property. They charge an enormous amount of money, or they call them contributions, but the fact is that most of their members pay very large sums of money to take courses where they reveal to them these so-called insights that are, in fact, copyrighted. The problem there is that if somebody leaves this organization and is a critic of it, that one of the only bases they have to show their concerns about the organization is the materials that the organization uses to propagate its views. In other words, these copyrighted materials. And so you have this pretty steady stream of people who have left the organization becoming critics of it, and then being sued and told you may not, bring out any of these materials that you yourself, paid for over the course of a number of years.
Exactly.
I have a question.
21
is that
years.